In the middle of Turkmenistan's desolate Karakum Desert, hundreds of kilometers away from civilization, lies a feature that looks like it is literally from out of this world. This gigantic hole in the ground has been burning non-stop for more than 50 years, reaching temperatures of over 1,000 degrees Celsius. This is not a volcano, but something much more terrifying. This is a humongous gas crater which leaks huge quantities of methane from hundreds of vents in the floor and walls. A sight that is so eerie that the locals have appropriately named it the Gates of Hell. Adding to the mystery of this terrifying and strange crater is the fact that its origin story is shrouded in complete mystery.
There's no other place like it on Earth.
The most insane heat wave, you can just feel your face burning off.
Turkmenistan sits in a very interesting geographical location, bordered by Iran and Afghanistan to the south, the Caspian Sea to its west, and its Central Asian neighbours, Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, to the north. Turkmenistan may not be of much strategic, economic or political importance in the present day, but that was not the case for much of history. The nation sat smack bang in the middle of an ancient trade network, serving as an important junction in the Silk Road, connecting markets like China and India to the Middle East and Europe. It was part of Cyrus the Great's Persian Empire, the first Arab empire, an important part of the Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan, and later became part of the Soviet Union. And it was during the Soviet era that our story begins. The USSR's conquest of what is modern-day Turkmenistan was a bloody affair, with the local Turkmen putting up a major resistance. It was by far the most difficult to conquer of all the Central Asian states. So why did the Soviets go through all the trouble to conquer this region, given that 70% of Turkmenistan's land area is desert? Well, because this region has an insane amount of gas deposits. You see, Turkmenistan has the 5th highest natural gas reserves in the world, having more reserves than Saudi Arabia. In 1948, the Soviets launched the Great Plan for the Transformation of Nature. The plan included designs to turn Central Asia's unproductive deserts into an agricultural paradise. As a part of the plan, the Soviets took up several ambitious projects to demonstrate the power of human ingenuity over nature, and many of them backfired spectacularly. This included the building of the Karakum Canal in Turkmenistan, a 1,300-kilometre-long water body which created a new fertile land for growing cotton. The Soviets did this by diverting water away from the Aral Sea, creating the now infamous ecological disaster zone where the sea once stood. But this canal was not the only example of the USSR's lack of forward planning in Central Asia. In the 1960s, there was a mad rush to exploit Turkmenistan's gas reserves. This was the beginning of a series of screw-ups which would ultimately end in the Soviets opening the gates of hell. When a gas field was discovered near a tiny village named Darvaza in the middle of the Karakum Desert in 1971, some Soviet geologists decided to do some exploratory digging. However, as they set up a rig and got to work, they discovered that they were at the top of a pocket of gas so shallow that it could not support the rig's weight. The rig then collapsed, falling into a gigantic sinkhole formed on the ground. And to their horror, the geologists discovered that this sinkhole was spewing vast quantities of methane. The Soviets realized that this was extremely dangerous. Methane can displace oxygen in the air, suffocating those nearby. Further, allowing a heavy concentration of methane to build up often leads to huge explosions. The geologists simply could not leave the sinkhole the way it was, spewing large quantities of methane into the atmosphere. So they turned to a common solution called flaring, which is a technique that is still used to this day to burn off excess natural gas. The story goes that the Soviets decided to set the crater on fire by dropping a grenade into the sinkhole, expecting the excess methane to burn off in a few days. But little did they know that this pocket contained so much methane that the flame would continue burning for many decades with no end in sight. This crater, which is 230 feet in diameter and almost 100 feet deep, continues to burn with voracious energy till this day, more than 5 decades on from being lit. Its humongous size and crimson-hued flame make it stand out from its desolate surroundings, serving as an unmissable reminder of the USSR's heavy-handed and foolhardy approach to taming nature. In the daytime, this looks like a scene from a Hollywood disaster movie. But at night, it looks like a portal from another world, a location where you are half expecting the devil himself to walk out of the hole with a pitchfork in his hand, very much fitting the description of the gates of hell. On a clear night, its flames can be visible from tens of kilometers away, with the crater taking up almost a mythical status over the years. But if you thought this crater and the story behind it could not get any spookier, well, think again. You see, while the story of the Soviets lighting this pit up with a grenade is the commonly accepted version, we actually do not know for sure how this pit was set on fire. There are various local legends about how it happened, including one version where it was lit by a local Turkmen farmer, while some even say that it was ignited by a lightning strike. You see, the reason we do not know how the fire started is that in the USSR, there was pressure on everyone to report successes, while failures were often hidden. Bad news often does not travel in authoritarian regimes, as no one wants to be held responsible for mistakes. So no one at the time was interested in making this fire pit in a faraway desert a big deal. Additionally, in the USSR, everything related to oil, gas, and natural resources was considered strategic and hence a top secret, with a lot of the documents related to the natural gas extraction in Turkmenistan either being destroyed or still being classified. However, regardless of how this massive fire got started, you would think that someone would have put it out by now. Because from an environmental perspective, having an uncontrolled release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere for over 5 decades is far from ideal. That is why, in 2022, the Turkmenistan government announced plans to extinguish the crater and somehow close it. A commission was even established to find the optimum technique to close the sinkhole while preventing the buildup of methane. However, the plan was abandoned, and the crater remains alive till today, continuing to gurgle with monstrous flames. Some suspect that the reason the plan was called off is that despite its negative effects on the environment, the crater has boosted tourism, with many adventure tourists flocking to the area every year to catch a glimpse of this fiery and glowing wonder. Predictably, this has become a hotspot for social media influencers over recent years, with the internet full of videos of people filming themselves at the edge of the crater, drone videos from above, and even videos of people roasting marshmallows over the flames. At this point, Turkmenistan's Darvaza Crater is more than just a tourist destination. It has become an indelible and enduring symbol of the country itself, occupying a special place in the nation's popular culture. In fact, believe it or not, Turkmenistan's former president, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, filmed himself driving a rally car around the crater as a publicity stunt back in 2019. The gates of hell might have been accidentally opened by the Soviets, and its origins may be shrouded in mystery. But the crater, in some respects, has put Turkmenistan on the map and ensured that its tourism industry does not go up in flames. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. And if you want to learn more about such unique places and phenomena, subscribe to the channel. We will continue bringing you stories and ideas that blow your mind, as the truth, as they say, is stranger than fiction.